Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We have we already on some bullshit this morning, but today we're on episode 84, and today we got a duo today that worked on the collab. But today we have Bornouttalove and St. Eastwood.
Yes, sir.
Right? I hope I don't mess it up. I'm like nervous.
St. Wood East. Yeah, you got it.
St. Wood
Backwards.
So first, like I've known you for a little bit now, and I need to know like how this like happened, because you guys have known each other for a little bit now.
Yeah, going on like a 9-year friendship.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to tell the story?
Yeah, you can go ahead and tell.
Okay. So pretty much when I was born, that's the beginning.
Out of love.
No, I started going to like a private school, because I do want to preface this with like really how it started, because I think it's such a cool way it started. And I also get to give a shout out if he ever sees this. But I started going to a private school in Lake Worth, just a really small, like probably 10-person class school. There's a bunch of kids enrolled, but everyone was, working or pregnant or whatever, so they couldn't actually go to school.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like an alternative school. It was just like it's a one-off. So I started going there, and surprisingly, it sounds bad, and I'm gonna bring him up. My friend Abu started going because he just wanted to kind of finish high school quickly. So because you can go at your own pace.
Okay.
So he started going, and then he met me, and we started kicking it. Then I started going to church with him, and that's how I met Saeed or Saint or.
Wow, he's just government name. Bleep it out. Wow.
Just bleep it out. Yeah, just do a little bleep.
Yeah.
No, but that's how I met Saint. And we started working on music when we were like, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah, 16.
Wow.
I would just pull up just like an old like Yamaha piano like we bought from the pawn shop. And we would just, we would just like make random shit. And just from there, like, that was probably 2015 or 2016. Yeah. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
And we just kind of kept doing music until probably like 2017. That's when we started, like, he got Logic, and then we started recording for real. And we started doing like real stuff. And then till we finally were just like, ready to work on something together.
Interesting, because it's definitely like a big shift, at least for you now. So did y'all start doing music at the same time then? So when y'all met each other, or were you already kind of like messing with it a little bit? I think
I didn't start. Well, technically, I started like recording with our other friend T, because I went to school with him. And I would always kind of like talk shit because he was making music. Can we cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cursing the whole time.
Because I would always talk shit like, because he would make songs, and I would always be like, they're trash, joking, And one time he like called me out on it, and he was like, well, you say you make music, because I was like, we would just do little beats and stuff.
Yeah, we were nothing crazy.
And he was like, come to the studio and stuff, and like he called me out on it, and I pulled up to a recording studio on Evans Street, Southside, Finn Entertainment Studio.
I don't think I've heard of it.
That's where like
shout out to Finn.
Yeah, shout out to Finn. That's where like Goyello and like everybody from like Fort Worth like recorded
down there.
Yeah,
sure.
Like at least in the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
And we went there, and then we picked out a random beat, and I just did my thing, and then we posted it on SoundCloud, and the next day we went to school, and everybody was like hyping us up and everything, and I was like, damn, I kind of want to make music. I was like,
honestly, he's told that story to me before. It really was T, and that's DJ Roy. For those who don't
really?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's DJ Roy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's got music out, so y'all. He wants to be a big DJ now. He got music out.
He got music out.
Yeah. Nah, T's awesome.
Yeah, T's amazing. Yeah, T really is how you start recording. That's crazy.
That's wild. Y'all seem to have like a lot of like interconnections with like people. Like you have like a really cool group around you. Like you said, like T. And I met you like through Xavier.
Exactly.
Like Javi and
I met Javi through him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
It's so rare, like how everything's connected. Dude, someone came over the other day to work on the AC, and they were like, oh, like, it's like, I think I like know you, and I'm like, from what? It's like, I think you talked to my friend Javi, and I'm like,
no, it's probably Steve.
Is it Steve?
Does he do like rugs and stuff?
Yeah. Shout out my brother Steven,
That's
the Rogue
awesome.
Laboratory. Yeah,
That's so
that's
funny.
so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, she was wild. I was
Dude,
I go, ain't no fucking way. You know?
And then me and my girl went to proms last night on University, and we're pulling up to the window slowly, and she goes, what the fuck? And there's a Rug Laboratory sticker just on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Shout out Rug Laboratory.
Yeah,
I
shout
looked
out
those
Rug
up. Them
Laboratory.
shit looks badass.
Bro, he's
Yeah.
sick, dude. He's really amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was like,
Cold.
oh, this shit is this
Yeah.
scene is just getting more and more connected
That's
to me.
really
I'm like,
cool.
oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
But see, and really quick, that's why I kind of bring up high school, because through that one person, I know everyone.
Yeah.
Like, because I was kind of super antisocial, and I didn't have really many friends. I had like one friend. And then I met him, and then boom, just like everything I'm doing, everyone I know, to even who I'm dating is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That one channel.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude. It's so crazy.
It is pretty nuts, like the connections you make and how you end up like doing what you do like now because of like someone saying something or you meeting like this person. And like that'd probably trip me up if I like really look back and like see like, oh, who actually like started doing this? Because man, I've been trying to do music for like ever, you know, like, well, and I started like my first dive into like music was learning to play the guitar, and I hated it. I was taking like private lessons, and I'm like, this shit blows, like it was like, and it just wasn't for me. And then like in middle school, they had an actual like class, and I thought I was gonna do like mariachi music because that's what I grew up with. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that, but it was the class that I picked was like a classical guitar, like class,
like finger picking and stuff.
Yeah, shit. And fingering.
In class they called it fingering.
Well, what is finger picking? What is that?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, what is fingering?
Well, we might have to turn the cameras off.
That's you got to sign up for the OnlyFans.
That's how you slide in that. What the hell is it called? The shameless promo.
No, so it's like you actually like use these fingers to like pluck the strings.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, so you play like that.
And I don't know if it's gross or not, but they have to grow their fingernails out insanely long.
It is kind of gross.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
fucking good.
No,
But that's how they get the sound.
I never did it fully like long, but I had a friend who like, which explains why he's way better than I ever was. But he would grow like, and it was just like the one hand because these had to be short to hit frets. So you literally have one hand with like long nails.
Shit, one hand was Wolverine. One hand was chilling.
But
that's cool.
So I took that, and that's where like I eventually like got into songwriting because we put together like a flamenco group. So that was different kind of songwriting, right? So I was like writing with a friend, and it was interesting. It just still wasn't like what I wanted. Like I wanted it to be like Shameless. Was like I wanted it to be like the front of something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was a cool like ensemble experience, but that's like when I did my first band, which was we did because like Under Oblivion, we did that in high school first before we actually like took it seriously. But
and if you haven't like checked out their shit,
what?
They're okay. Don't check it out.
I don't know what song, whatever song y'all posted, man. That shit was hard.
It's alright. We put out a few, but you know, I'm good. I'm good with one being good. We did that, but that group of people, when I got back into it, before I joined the band, like they were like the same members were playing in a different band, and that's when I was like, oh, like, because then I think in that one we were playing like friends parties and shit like that, and we would play like the Door in Fort Worth when it was in Fort Worth. It was right there by Billy Bob's.
Oh,
yeah. So Billy Bob's, it was like across the street. So it was a crazy little place, but it was on its way out. So literally, I was like, how do we? We played like 4 shows, and we're like, how do we headline? And it, like literally, I just like call the guy, and he's like, yeah, we want a headline here, and he's like, okay, and I'm like, because they didn't have anything going on, so he's like, sure.
Well, I'm about to close the doors for you.
He's like, sure. That's cool. But yeah, like when I came back is when I realized that there was like a music scene on the local level, which was like completely like foreign concept. So, and I meet a lot of those people in my life now who don't know like that scene. Like I was like every type of music, dude. I talk about this. I don't know who it was, but someone was like interviewing us for like the Fort Worth Weekly, and we were talking, and they were like, yeah, like they had no idea about the scene that was out here. He's like, the only scene they knew was a country scene, and I'm like, bro, you are like so like surface level.
Yeah,
like,
that's
yes, it's huge,
yeah.
but dude, there's so much in just a small area. You know,
it's so crazy. Like, I mean, shout out to Fort Worth Weekly, right? Because they pulled up to
yeah, but I don't even know if they actually worked. Just shout out, like I
Yeah.
really don't know this person. No shame on the Fort Worth Weekly, but
they like posted me, Limerence, and Javi, which I thought
Yeah,
was
I thought
really
that was cool,
nice.
yeah.
It was cool, little shine, so that was nice. But like a lot of what I see is like mainly like singer songwriters and country artists and stuff, and I'm just like, man, you have no idea. There's all like there's pop, there's definitely rappers, there's DJs. There's just so much in Fort Worth. It's crazy. Like
it's such a big scene.
Yeah.
And I feel like not a lot of it is highlighted, right?
and it bleeds into Dallas, and there's a lot of Dallas people. Like it's back and forth. Fort Worth goes to Dallas, Dallas comes to Fort Worth. Like there's a lot of there's starting to become a lot of crossover.
Even Arlington got some spots that be popping like that too.
Yeah,
that's
actually
from,
really true.
you know, it's from Arlington. Just to kind of like, I think it's cool. Do you know AWOL? He has a song called Loverboy. It was like that. Yo, who got you smiling like that on TikTok?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from Arlington.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if he'd see this or not, but if I'm wrong, fucking correct me. But I'm pretty sure it's Arlington.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he pulls up to meet me a lot.
Yeah.
Well, when it was at curfew.
Oh, okay.
Just from
Is
what
it
I
not
see
at
on
curfew
socials.
anymore?
Yeah, just what I see on social.
Is it not at curfew anymore?
No.
No, they're doing like a tour right now.
I did see that.
But I think right now they're chilling like at Ampersand.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Which is lit.
Respectably.
I
yeah.
haven't
It's cool.
been. I haven't been.
I've been to the curfew ones. I remember going to them when they started, like,
Yeah.
and so it was like I remember it was completely dead in there, like the whole night or
Dude.
whatever. To like pulling up to it now, like bro, you barely get in.
Yeah,
Like,
the one time we went though, like, was crazy. The one time we went, so when we started going to curfew, I don't know if I was the first one to actually go in the bar.
Yeah, I believe so.
And when I did, I met the bartender. The bartender was also checking IDs. So she saw my ID and she was like, "Oh, this isn't right," or whatever. Like, kind of like, I guess she just wasn't looking at it right, but she was just like, "Oh, you're kind of like not old enough to be in here," or maybe thought it was fake.
Yeah.
It was something. And then she was like, and I was like, no, like you're tripping or whatever. And then she looked again and she was like, oh, and then it just became this like, we just kind of laughed it off, like it was her mistake.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's Erica. And
Erica.
Dude, it sparked this whole friendship. And so we started pulling up to curfew a lot, and she was so cool with us. She'd make us like paleta shots, because her paleta shots are
The
hard.
best in the whole city.
Amazing,
In the
dude.
whole city.
So good.
In the whole city.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't been anywhere out there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that,
So I've never been anywhere.
I only tried one, but they're the fucking best in the city. I'll tell you, boy.
I'm pretty sure they're the best in the whole world. Like, I don't care what anybody says.
And she doesn't hold back on the, what is it, like Tabasco they put in there?
Yeah, she uses and she gets onto us because it's not Tabasco.
Oh.
It's not?
No, she has like
Wait,
this.
are you giving away?
No,
the
I'm
secret
not
recipe
giving
right
it.
now?
No, she doesn't give it away to us.
Okay.
She just tells us that it's this bottle, but she always covers the name and she shakes it. And I'm just like, what is it? She's like, She's like, I'm not telling you. It's that secret sauce.
That secret sauce.
So when we finally went to meet me, she was there and we were like chopping it up. And then I told her, I was like, oh, it's my first time out on Monday. And then this group heard me. And then this girl was just like, oh, it's your first time here? Do you want an edible? And I was like, no, I think I'm good with just this paleta shot. Like, I think I'm chilling here. But dude, it's crazy. Like, it was such a, and I mean, it still is. It's probably even crazier. But the first time I had went was probably pretty mild, right? Like, because this was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I think they were like maybe like 8 months in.
Okay.
Yeah.
8 months into doing it.
But dude, it was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
because I never been to a place where it's just like, I guess what
Dance.
Drum and bass and dance and house and like,
Yeah.
dude, it's so cool.
Yo,
It's sick.
coincidentally,
It's so cool.
like that's I don't want to say that Meet Me was like a huge inspiration, but I also don't want to not say that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it was like the move every Monday was like, yo, let's go, like forget about everything right now. Let's go dance, you know?
Yeah.
So when it came to making music, like we were trying to make my own stuff for my own solo stuff that I was working on. Because I think you guys had just done the Chill Sounds show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we had just done Chill Sounds and Breakdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and I was like, yo, like I'm trying to do shows too, and he's like, well, build your catalog.
Yeah, I remember meeting you. Like, yeah. Once you introduced yourself to me again, I was like, wait, like I've already met you.
Yeah.
Especially because like your name, I remember. I was like, oh yeah, which I won't say again.
And when we were trying to make my solo stuff, like we were just running into a lot of like head bumps, and we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, like let's just make some like Mimi Underground shit, you know. And I think like that's how we made Knees. Right?
We made Knees first because this is like where my brain goes, where I can't make anything. I'll start making like shit that I know I'll never put out, shit that I know like it's off brand, it's not me, and I'm just like, it's just like I'm fucking around completely.
Yeah.
So I started making, and I'm like, what do like people in the UK listen to for dance music? And I'm like, well, I think of piano. I don't know why I always think of a piano. So I did like the piano part. I started putting these like wacky ass like dance drums, and then like the beats started coming together. And I was like, oh, or I don't know how. That part's foggy on how we actually started recording it.
Yeah.
But I remember writing my part, and then my part became like the hook of the song. And I mean, before we know it,
I recorded like my verse too.
Then you did your verse.
Just like because it was. That's why it's so short, because it was just random.
I think he did his verse first. Because I think I remember writing after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did his verse first, and then I was like, okay, I got to do my verse.
Bro, that's how I just like love seeing it, because it's literally like, oh, y'all were just like in the creative mode where I'm like, I don't know what happened first. Yeah. We just like went in and this is what came out.
Honestly, it's all foggy. Like I remember,
and we made a lot of love during the sessions too.
Wait, what?
That's the plus of having a bedroom studio. There's like a bed right there.
Man, that explains that cover all sexual.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Which shout out to my sister. My sister did it, the cover. And I told her, I was like, look, this needs to bring to life the experience I had with Saeed when we weren't making music. I
think it captured it beautifully.
I think it captured it perfectly. No, but
so cool.
Yeah, we ended up doing the song, and then he came back another day after we recorded, and then I started chopping like the vocals, and the vocal chops play a big part because that's when we're like, oh, this song like needs to come out. Like we need to drop it. And everything's on a whim. Everything's like so random. Like dropping it was just like a in the moment decision. And same with doing a whole album, because Sane was just like, let's do more of these. Like let's do like 13, 14 of them. And I was like, I mean, I'm down. Yeah. And because the formula was so simple, I mean, Knees is like what, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long. So we're like, oh, we can do a bunch of these. Like that's easy, you know. And I think you hear it in the album how it slowly started to become more than that, especially the back half. Yeah, because that's when he started taking making more executive decisions in producing the music. But it worked out. Yeah, like our and we were just talking about it this morning. Like our biggest tracks are like thighs, calf, toes, and that's like the back half of the album. So it's really cool just to see that one idea, that one song spark a whole thing, which is, I don't know.
That was cool.
So do you think this really kind of like helped you develop more of like what your brand is and like in music, since you were like, you say, having like a few issues in the beginning?
Yeah. We were just talking about this. I don't know, because I think I have a really bad issue of jumping into anything, because like ever since I started making music, my biggest problem is that I listen to everything. Yeah. So when I hear something, I'm just like, oh man, like this fucking country song is great. Like I'm gonna be the next Midland, you know? And I'm in the studio. No, right? I'm in the studio.
No, don't point at the feet.
Hey, we got on today. cut the camera.
He found a way to bring it up. No, and that's why like I get mad at myself, because then I'll like make a country song and I'm like, why the fuck did I make this? I'm not a country singer. I'm not a country artist, you know. And like I'll listen to something else and I'm like, oh, I'm digging this or I'm digging that, and it just becomes like a culmination of everything, to the point where I'm just like, fuck, like I don't have a sound, and it's annoying. So with this project, it was really, really cool, man. Like how he says, like the second back half, you can hear it in the project as it ascends. The first 5 songs are just like very niche to like the whole dance culture, or like what people think the dance culture is. Yeah. And then the second half is just kind of like, okay, those same elements, but let's try to splash this, or let's try to throw this on there, you know? So I was like, yo, I can probably do that with the solo stuff, where it's like, I'm not going to make a full ass country song. Yeah. But I'll make like a pop song with like country elements, or I'll make like a, I don't know, just like making like I don't know how to think of the words, but like just like a Frankenstein's of songs. You know? Like a body part of this, a body part of that. You know, just things like that.
I think I personally like love hearing that type of like songwriting. There's a lot of like bands that I'll hear and I'll hear something that quote unquote should not belong in the song, and it just fucking blows my mind. Like if done well, like it's great, because like you find out like that these, again, things that shouldn't go together like blend well together, you know what I mean? And I feel like it helps the mentality too of people who want to keep like those genres separate, where I'm like, no, you can kind of mess around and do a whole bunch of stuff. Like I always bring up, there's a band, there's two bands, like one that I remember is a band called Emery, and they drop like this, it's like their normal like type of song, and then at the end there's like a jazz breakdown, and like out of nowhere, like they have no jazz anywhere else, but it works. I'm like, it's that one's a more jarring one. Then there's like, this band Sleep Token on this album has like Sleep a really like crazy, heavy like song, and then called The Summoning, and then at the end it has like a funk like little like section, and I'm just like, that's fucking cool. Like, just fuck shit up. Like, it's, and see what comes out. You know what I mean?
And I think it's execution too. Like,
yes.
I think it's like you get the idea, and then it's you're not thinking too much into it, but just executing it well. Because I mean, you can really, like, if your focus is putting different sounds together, like you can do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it comes out good or like it's really true to you. You know, it's just like what you feel, and just execution.
I think it's just thinking about like, I mean, music in general, like when you're writing, whatever you're putting into it should be like for a purpose. Like there's a reason. Sure. There's not just like, like let's throw something in here. It should be like, this I think might sound good. And like I said, it might not come to fruition the way like you thought of, and it won't. But I think the effort of like just trying shit out is like what keeps your creativity alive. What keeps you like liking to doing what you're like doing, like creating what you're creating, is being able to push yourself a little bit and again step out of your comfort zone. Like I said, this is completely like you were saying, like this is different from like the brand that you were building, but it worked. You know what I mean? It works, and it's great. And again, it teaches you stuff. So I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that you'll bring back to like the stuff that you're gonna be recording in like the future. And like, same thing with y'all. You know what I mean?
There's definitely tracks I started working on that are very like my brain is still in like that in body pretty much, but it just feels right. Like it just feels, and one thing he always tells me is always splashing paint on the wall. You know, just trying stuff. You know, like and see what it makes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's like the best piece of advice, because I think too much when I make music, and I'm always thinking about. And this is one thing we were talking about this morning, was just that when I approach creating something, I know I want to make it the best it can be, and so I dive deep into every aspect of what makes a good song, right? And I guess quote unquote, right, because it's subjective. Like what's good to me could be terrible to you. But, so it's like, but I'm sitting here trying to like, how can I make something universally amazing, you know, that everyone can enjoy? And I dive too deep in like tempo and the key and like these sounds and that sounds, like just everything of that song is broken down in my head, and I think too much. And his approach is just like, well, dude, take this and throw it at the fucking wall, see what it does. Like, and 9 out of 10 of the, like 10 out of 10 times shit, it works. Like just trying something on a whim, or just like trying different things, like not thinking too much.
I don't think that is a bad thing. I think we always compare it to he colors inside the lines. Like when he thinks about a painting, he wants to make sure that everything's like colored the right way. And to me, I just like throwing shit on there, and I'm like, it looks good enough. You know what I mean? And I was like, I know there's a word for it, and I was like, and I ended up just saying it so much, and it's grotesque. Like grotesque. My approach to like everything I ever do is very grotesque. Is like, that's hard, and he'll be like, but like it's not leveled correctly, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, it's cool. I'm like, or like he'll be like, I'm like, nah, hey, can you distort that real quick? And he's like, no. I like, we're not gonna distort that. He gets so mad. He'd be like, no, that sonic doesn't correlate with everything else. And I was like,
I would get so mad, because I'm like, dude, like you don't get it. And he's like, no, you don't get it.
I was like, yo, trust me. I was like, just trust me. I'm like, I can hear it in my head. And he'd be so mad, and he would do it, and then he like get even more mad. He's like, fuck, that sounds good, bro.
This is hard.
But honestly, like, I think that's why this dude like fucking works really well, because you need both of those sides, and like having someone to again push you outside of what you feel is comfortable. Like both of those are like, I mean, both of your structures, like I'm sure like you both can do it to each other. You know what I mean?
Like, have you seen Bo Burnham's What stand up?
Yeah.
Okay, you know he has the segment of left brain and right brain.
Yes.
You kind of remember, like
Kinda,
left brain is really analytical and really like serious and very like intelligent. Then right brain's really fucking dumb and like silly and like when he performs it, it's like left brain's like it's all serious and it's blue and it's like, you know, he's talking very stern, and then right brain is like all colorful and it's red and he's going crazy and saying all this random shit. Like that's what it feels like in the studio. It feels very much like left brain, right brain, and I'm trying to learn how to be right brain, but it's very hard.
Yeah, no,
especially when we're really in it.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay though, because I needed that. Because like with my music, like if you hear it, it just sounds like a kid just threw things together, you know. So him teaching me how to be more like critical about the process of making an actual song, helped me a lot with like, okay, maybe I don't do the hook 7 times, you know, like,
Hold on.
you know what I mean?
Some
crazy ass idea.
You know, because like that's what I always play with him. It's just like, yo, like let's play around with the arrangement, because like, you know, people are just like chorus, hook, chorus, verse, and chorus, bridge, and then chorus, you know. And I'm like, yo, let's do the bridge in the beginning, and then I'm like, and then we'll hit it somewhere in the middle. And he's like, he gets so mad. He's like, we're gonna give people brain tumors, bro. Like, you can't do that. So it was just playing around with it, but I think making it work and making it like an actual sound was the coolest thing ever. And I think the arguments, and then I always tell them, like, it's not even like when I hear the song, yeah, I vibe to it, whatever. But I think more to the when we were in the studio making it, and I think that's why I like a certain song. Like I think of Belly, and everybody likes Belly for the song, and I'm like, no, I like Belly for the studio session. Like that was so fun. It was so fun.
That's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop being an asshole and like I'm just gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
And if he wants to splash paint on the walls, then fuck it. I guess we'll do that. And dude, it worked. Like there were some sounds we added in, and then even I was just like, nah, we'll do it over here. Like somewhere random. It's like, and these like goofy ass sounds, like these stock plugins. And I'm just like, let's do this. Like, just kind of being a big kid about it, but it worked. Like, it just worked. Like, I don't know. And they're the ones doing the best, like on Spotify and shit. So it's just like,
it's really cool.
If you want to get down to numbers, then it's like, okay, well that works. So
how deep do you like let that like run like your creative process? Do you let it influence it, like figure out like what numbers is and stuff?
We're always talking shit about numbers.
Yeah.
Like, even though like we both know numbers are important, we both know like what we have to do in order like to make something of ourselves in music, but we just, I guess we'd rather let music and creativity and or like things that are organic speak louder. Even if it may not take us somewhere, even if it takes us like 25 years and we're just going basically off good music, right, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Then that's what it takes, right? That's like our mentality. But we don't really let numbers affect like what we do, because if that was the case, then we would just be making, I mean, we just study TikTok and be like, well, what sounds good on here?
Yeah.
Like, what sounds are trending, right? Like, what's making people do dances and shit? Like, then we go and make that. And we don't do that. We make something like Body that's so random and so random, right? Because even if you look at our fucking pictures on Spotify, like his silhouette and like my like we look like we make either grunge rap or like metal music or something like. But then we come out with this like fruity pink, like colorful ass album, like dance album. Yeah. And that's just because we do what we want. Like we have fun making music, and if it's not fun, like we don't want to do it.
Numbers are overrated. I think now I don't like having this conversation with anybody except like, you know, him, because I know he'll back me up. But I think I'm about to get so many texts. But no, it's just I think people's point in like doing all of this is to quote unquote blow up, or you know, at least make a living off of it, and that's, you know, that's cool. But I think my approach to everything, at least now in the last like 3 years that I've been doing it, I'm just like, you know what? I sometimes, you know, you go to the record store and you find this random ass vinyl, and you just like it because of this cool ass cover, and it didn't make the Billboard 200s. It wasn't a cult classic. It was just this random ass vinyl that someone in the 70s decided to get pressed for some random ass reason. They made an album and they were like, let's put this on a fucking
probably
vinyl.
made it in their garage too. Like,
yeah, in their garage, or something. They recorded it and then they were like, yo, let's get it pressed and let's try to sell it. And it didn't sell, obviously. like 50 years later, it's still like, they're like, this is shit, But then you you put on your vinyl, your vinyl player or whatever, your record player, and you hear some of the greatest sounds ever, And some people, producers at least, people that sample, they'll end up sampling or whatever. Yeah. I'm more on the listening side, so I'll just be like, I'm gonna bump this till I die, or I'm gonna play this at my wedding. Yeah. And I try to tell them that's how I think, it's a little degrading to think that way, but what if we make like a great project, at least great to us, right? But a project like Body, and doesn't pop off, whatever. We don't blow up, it doesn't go on TikTok viral moments or whatever. And then 50 years down the line, some kids are making music or something, and they're like connoisseurs, and they find I don't know how they're gonna stream music in the future, right? Maybe it's gonna be wired to their brains.
Yeah,
but it goes, they randomly scan.
Apple's like right there.
they randomly scan Body into their mind, and they hear Belly or they hear Waste, or they hear the second half of Waste, which is slept on, and they hear it and they're like, yo, this is some of the greatest shit I've ever heard. That would be I'll probably be dead or I don't know, retired in a retirement home somewhere. They try to find me, they'll go on Google, try to find a wiki page or something that was probably made by my fucking granddaughter or something. And they'll be like, wow, he was from Fort Worth, all these dudes, and that would be enough for me to know that that I gave someone a moment in time of feeling, because I feel like at the end of the day we do this to provoke thought and to convey emotion, and not to get corny or analytical or very artistic, but I feel like, why else are we doing this if that's not the reason as to why we go in the studio, is to make each other laugh, make them mad. Sometimes I piss them off just to piss them off,
and I know, just for fun. I know when it's on purpose. I'm like, oh, you're saying that dumbass shit just to get under my skin.
It's just to have a good time, It's we're to live, and for sure the money would be nice, the fame would be cool, having stacks of whatever clothes, whatever, but I think, I don't know, at the end of the day, I would just want to make people feel something. Yeah. As corny and, what do you call it? What is that? What's the word?
Cliche?
Cliche as it is. That's what it is to me,
Yeah, shit is cliches, and people hate hearing them because you hear them so often. But it's at the end of the day, it's because those shits are real.
That's true.
They're the most basic truths, and that's why people are like, oh, shut up. But because it's something you should know. But once you experience some of those moments where stuff like the actions speak louder than words type of stuff. Oh, people say that shit all the time. But then you go through a moment where yes, they do. You know what I mean? So then it feels more. So I think people are against cliches just because it's basic. You know what I mean? But basic isn't bad. When it comes to these emotions and feelings. But yeah, putting out, the cool thing about art and music and anything is that once you create it and put it out, you get a whole shit ton of perspectives from people who take it this is what this song means to me, what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's you know what I mean? So I bring that up quite a bit because it's I had somebody who come up to me once and told me that a song that I wrote meant this to them, and I'm like, that's not at all what I wrote.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I'm like, that's fucking cool. I'm you telling me you made your own little thought about this whole song, the lyrics, this line that I wrote hits you in a whole different way than when I wrote it, and I realized oh shit, once you make something, that shit is out in the world, and then people will pull from it what they need from it or they want.
I have a couple examples. So to your point, right? I had a friend reach out to me recently, and I have a song out called "No One Like You." I dropped on an EP 2 years ago. And
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. And once you get past all the body stuff, and you go a little deeper. And for that person, it was because the chorus is just "No one like you." That's it. That's the whole thing.
Hey, cálmate.
I know. Start singing. But it's as simple as it is. For them, it meant more. For them, it was more of a spiritual thing and how they felt towards their spirituality, right? And their in God and all that stuff. It felt more to them as if it was a worship song versus of what it actually was.
That's interesting.
That's gnarly as hell.
And I'm just that's crazy because to me it's this heartbreak. I'm singing to this girl who like broke my heart when I was 16, and I'm just like, there's no one like you know. But for them, it's those words mean something else.
Yeah.
And they're rooted deeper in how they're feeling. And music's universal like that. It's super cool. Then what I was gonna say about him was, we have this song called Calf, and even though like we're messing around in the studio and we're like joking and we have all these like dumb songs, like Calf speaks on like body positivity and like it just speaks on like how people who may not be a big fan of their body like should love themselves and should love their body and be like, and regardless, you know. And I think that song is like, because I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's just to the point of like there's more of a emotional train of thought behind like the silliness. Like we're still trying to be serious. Like the music's still gonna speak, despite us like saying, "Oh, this is just a joke album." Like we're just doing it for fun. Yeah, we still touch on real things. You know what I mean? Like we still take the opportunity to like speak about things that are going on. Things like, because I know like I've dealt with body positivity and like struggled with that, and so it's like something we could like touch on, which is just really cool. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's crazy how, I don't know, I guess how just universal music is, like, Yeah,
you have so many possibilities, especially when you're writing music on what you can do with that song. You know what I mean? Like you could touch on something like that. You could do something that's just completely like, oh, this is just to vibe out. It's nothing else. And and again, you get to pick like what those things like. So, some people use it as their like people are like, oh, this song was like therapy to me. Yeah, sometimes you are writing out emotions or stuff that you can't say like out loud, but I'm like, and that's what like I'm actually, I think the song that you like is a song called Wasted, and it's about my dad. So and I remember writing that. I had never ever spoken like about what like my emotional like reaction to this was or anything. Like it was just like my thing was always like, no, like my dad is like deadbeat, whatever, like he's gone, like it's fine. But that was me like repressing all that shit. And I remember when I wrote that song, we were singing because they were just like the band would just loop over and over what they were playing, like what we thought was a chorus that we were playing. And like I pulled out a word which is wasted, and I was just like, okay, I'll figure out what that means later. But I remember when I sat down and wrote that, it was a whole fucking just like vent. And I wrote that song in one sitting, like lyrics and everything. Like I wrote the entire thing, and I read it back, and I'm just like, I didn't know that I felt like this. Like it was weird. Like once I started putting it to paper, and then that was like my experience was like, okay, so it was out. And then when we recorded it, I got to put like the emotion of what I had. So it was like another cathartic experience. And then we made a music video for it, and I got to do it again. Like, so it was like my 3-step process into acknowledging that problem and like kind of working through it. Yeah, that's cool. That's amazing. But yeah, you get to pick like this music, and you get to, again, you have complete control over what you want to do. Body positivity is a big one, because you don't know who
is struggling with
it. It's really hard to know who is actually like dealing with something like that. Because I think for me, for the longest time, I kind of like had it, and still a little bit, but like I used to never like, I don't know, I felt just weird about like me as a person. Like it was really weird. Like for me. So like having songs like that, just offering something like that and letting know people like are beautiful, like or it's really cool like topic to hit on.
Yeah,
and that's like,
that's cool.
What we kind of like wanted the cover to be too, right? It was just people of different sizes and shapes and colors, like, because it's very inclusive. It's just like we just want people to, live, laugh, and love through this album. Oh, fuck! I was waiting to pull that out. No, I've been thinking about
so ugly. Nah, that one is corny. All right,
that one's not corny. Nah, but for real, like, you just want people to enjoy it. Really for what it is, because what it is just us having fun and just us like, I guess speaking our truth, and like through these goofy ass songs, maybe there's like a line or two that's like real, and then the rest is just bullshit, because I feel like Knees, there's some like truth to some of those lyrics, and then like Hands, there's like a little story in there, and there's just like a lot of songs where the lyrics are just like, oh, like it's not just Thighs, right, where we're goofy as hell and we're making like we're being dumb, but it's like Calf's always just such a good example.
I mean Hands is good, because Hands is like I always thought, we barely talked about it, but like Hands to me was always like, you know, people going. Oh, you say she, right? Because it's maybe a girl in this story going to the club just to dance to forget about like her struggles, like outside of like
exactly
whatever. I guess at home or at work or whatever.
And it's just like a little. It's so subtle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the point. It's like it's hidden underneath the vibes, right? The dancing, the beat, and then there's just like something real sitting in there. So. I don't know.
No, I think being able to use that juxtaposition of something like, hey, let's tackle something a little serious, but let's make it fun, for lack of a beter word. But like, so there, I bring up this artist a lot, but it's an artist called Bill Murray, and it's got spelled Bilmur.
Okay, I've seen his name. I saw his name recently. I don't know.
Yeah,
if like
his music is depressing as fuck. Like if you just like sat down and read it, I'm like, damn, this dude's going through it. And then you like listen to it and see it live. It's a fucking party, dude. It's the most fun I've ever had at a fucking show. And I'm like, this makes no sense, dude. I know this dude was like about literally, because he talks about it. It's like, yeah, I was like literally on the verge of like killing myself before I wrote these songs. And literally, I'm at the show. I'm like, I don't fucking know how. Like, it's so fun. Like, it's literally one of the funnest shows ever. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, like, you know, again, it's like being able to tackle those like hard issues or just things that you want to talk about or just experiences, and then also just share like, oh, but I also want. I was like, hey, if I put them to a good beat, like, you know, it can also be fun. Like, so this struggle or this like hardship or anything like that can still like, you know, cause people happiness or create happiness for people.
And that's why we don't care about numbers, because I feel like that's enough to stand on its own.
Yeah.
And if we maybe put a video out, maybe if we post a little bit more, like, I just think it's enough. Like, you think of a wildfire, like, it's not like, you don't have to do much to start one. Not that everyone should go out and start one, because it's been like,
Jesus, this man.
Very easy to start a wildfire.
Don't do that.
How do you do it?
Definitely don't do that.
Throw out a cigarette out your car or down the freeway. You heard it here.
Definitely don't do that.
That happened last week, like here on 30.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's happened on 820. Like, I drove by one time, like in the middle of the night, and it's just on fire.
What the fuck?
It was just on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
This was probably last summer. I don't remember, but
no, this was last week. I saw it on 30 last week.
Oh my God.
You can drive by. It's black. It's a black piece of grass.
Definitely don't do that. But my point was just,
it's very easy.
It's very. It's just like I don't even know what my point should be. A little goes a long way. I don't know. Nah, but we feel like the music and what we're saying, and maybe if we just put a little bit of, like, it's just enough to take off.
Yeah.
That's just what I believe. Like, I don't know.
If you're real about it, like, yeah, I feel the energy you put is what you're gonna get back. You know, whatever you believe in. You know, so I just feel like if you're real about it and you're honest and you have true intent to the art that you're distributing, people are gonna see that. And I feel like some people, and I feel like some people have what do you call it? Like other intent, like their intent are numbers. I don't want to look at the camera. I feel like I'm talking to somebody. And I feel like,
I know you think about numbers.
I know you're thinking about numbers.
You fake. No, I'm kidding. Get all aggressive.
No, but like, you know, if your intent are numbers, or your intent is to, you know, I want to have high streaming numbers or whatever. Some people can see through that, you know, and
this and everything we're saying, right? Like, it's nothing new.
Yeah,
like, it's nothing. Like, we've always believed this. I mean, shit. That's why we're barely getting shows. Like, that's why we're barely doing anything, because it's the even longer road, right? Because you talk about art. You see artists talking about, I took the long way there. I took the long route, or whatever. But they're still like throwing money into this and throwing money into that and doing this and doing that. And it's like, damn, it still took you a while, right?
Yeah.
Well, ours is an even longer road, because not only is it DIY, but we're definitely like, it's not about, you know, charting or like doing anything like that. It's just about making good music.
Yeah.
Just genuinely good music.
Literally creating music that is making you happy about it and proud, like you want to listen to it. Like that's a concept that it's so weird, but at the end of the, like, when I had a band, at the end of like the life of that band, that's when I started realizing that I'm like, I should want to play these fucking songs and hear my own shit. Like, I should love it.
Exactly.
Like, it makes no sense that I write songs where I'm like, I don't listen to them, you know? And sure, they were cool. It was a great moment. Like, I don't take anything back that I ever did, but I'm like, I was writing stuff in not the way that I should have been. Like, it should have been like, oh, I need to, you know, basically just be in love with the shit that I'm putting out. Like I should like want to get in the car and like bump my shit loud. Or when people ask about it, you know, and like, oh, want to hear, it's like, oh yeah, like let me show you this fucking thing that I work on. Be proud of it.
Not be embarrassed. Like,
it's like,
don't listen to it
again because
be shy about
it. But you touched on it, like when people were like, people can see like when people aren't genuine. That's something that I don't know if I've just recently started to notice it a lot more, but I cannot like ignore that. Like if I see someone, I'm like, this isn't you. Like it immediately like puts me off of a lot of like what the create, you know, whatever they're creating. But whatever it is that you're making, if I know that like that's in, I don't know how to tell, but like there's a way like you can sense it out of like music. I'm like, oh, they like making this, or this feels real or something. But like the fake stuff, you can definitely like just, I don't know, just get that feeling and not want to like listen to it as much.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
go ahead. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. No, I think so dumb. I think
we're never getting
long ass episode.
I think I think I can tell at least, you know, when people aren't being genuine, because we make the music too, you know, and I'm just like, oh, okay, you're doing that, you know. Or sometimes they do certain trends or something, you know, and it's like, oh, you're doing that for that trend, you know. It's like, yo, I know you can make something better, you know what I mean? Like you could do something that's more genuine to your heart and soul, you know. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's what people should strive to do, is make something
more organic.
Yeah, so that comes from the heart. Like, I just want to hear something. I want to know how you really, really feel. You know, like I want to know. I don't know. I'm getting mad emotional, but like, yo, I just want to know how people feel. Like the reality of music. You know,
we both have songs that are just like, you can tell we were like trying to like fit a trend. Like you have like super old songs, right?
Yeah, no.
And then like me, it's like there's some tracks that are people's favorite that I'm like, dude, I knew you were gonna like that song. That's why I made it. Like I didn't make it for me. Like I knew you were gonna like it, and like that's how they were born. And those are like my bastard kids. You know what I mean?
So
if that's the term, I don't even know.
So those weren't born out of love.
No, they were born out of
hate.
Born out of wedlock. No, no, like. You know, and then like music prior to those songs is more authentic and real and something I actually wanted to make.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like I don't put out a song unless I really like it, but intent, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I like the song, but like, was I really feeling what I was saying? Maybe. Nah. Yeah. But like, you know.
I mean, the thing with like, and this is, I mean, something completely different with songwriting, stuff like that. You also like, I just heard, it was like an interview with John Mayer or something like that, where he was like writing stuff that he didn't like. And he's like, because my opinion of like music is always changing. So like if I write something that I don't like, I can wait it out and see if I do end up liking it, or just push it to like something different. But even like songwriting and lyrics, one thing that I had is I would write stuff and I'm like, the emotion that I was feeling, I'm like, oh, this isn't the correct emotion, like reaction to this. So I wouldn't write that song, instead of being like, it's okay to be like a dickhead for just this song.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was, you know, because like, you know, I was in this moment, like I was thinking shitty things or like, you know, whatever. It's like, but that's real. You know what I mean? Instead of like real. Not writing it and faking like, oh, I don't ever get like that. You know what I mean? Which, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? You are like, you do dumb shit. You get super sad. You react to things in not the right way. Yeah. And like, those are like really cool things to put into music, because it makes people, one, sense that it's real, and then again, like, allow people to know like, oh, okay, being shitty, like when I'm shitty, like it's okay, like it's a human like thing to
at the end of the day, people can still relate to that. You know, people can still be like, oh, I'm not the only one who,
in a real way, without forcing it, because there's also stuff where like, oh, let me write something to relate to people. I'm like, no, dude, if you write your own like human experience, like it will be relatable, like, because that's just how much in common we have with each other.
Absolutely. That was my whole goal with music in the beginning, like, because I had a best friend in high school, like the one friend I had. So we would do music together, and the one thing I always told him was like, I just want to write songs that people can genuinely relate to, and I want to see the world. Like, this was like 2014 or 15, and like we were just so young, but that was like my only goals. But the biggest one was I just want to be relatable, I guess. Like, I want people to relate to it. just for the purpose of like I just want to feel like I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think the relatable aspect is important, but yeah, as long as it's coming from like a genuine place, because that's like you can't get any more genuine or pure than that than what you've already been through. You know what I mean? Like your own experience, like from pen to paper, like that's as real as it can get, and that's as like I just feel like that's the thing that people cling on to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen that method taken a few different times. The only way that I ever got it was like my own personal experience to get that real. But I've had other people, and the other time that I did it differently was I took an experience that one of my friends did, and then I would just put myself into that and then wrote it that way. But the one that I just can't do is like these really good storytellers. I talk about album. It's an album called Connector by the band called I the Mighty. But the guy, I remember listening to it. I'm like, oh shit, this dude was going through it. There's some crazy shit in here. And I listen to the commentary, and they're all made up stories that he made up. And I'm just like, yeah. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like one's like, he's like, yeah, I saw this like lady outside one time and she was yelling at the sky, and that was like the first like line of the song, and he made up an entire story about like her, and I'm like, I was like, and it sounded like
that's cool,
an actual like story from them, from them, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome, like that's so cool, but I love, it's so fascinating to see, especially like, I mean, I love sitting into like people's like studio sessions and writing sessions, because I get to see different perspectives of how people write like through theirs, and it's cool because I realized that like before any of those interactions, I was like, oh, my way to write is like the only way to do it, and it's obviously stupid, but not even like that's the only way, but I'm like, that's how everybody does it, and then like sitting in with people, they're like, oh shit, what the fuck, how did you like come up with that, or like that's not the way I would have taken it, or like, you know, different subject matter. It's really cool to see everyone's individual human experience translate into whatever art they're creating. Like,
what I've heard, and I always say this because like I hear from the internet, so I never know if it's actually true or not. From what I've heard, Joji's like Slow Dancing in the Dark, it's about like his friend's relationship. That song's like kind of cuts deep, you know? And it's just like, damn, he was going through it. It's like, no, he wrote it about his friend. And I think got like his friend's permission to write it or something like that. Don't know if it's true. It could be totally wrong. But even that is like a step to writing that I think is really cool. And I've tried to do it, but it is tough. Yeah. Because you really have to put yourself in their shoes and really like hone in on, okay, how are they feeling? And how can I put into my words how they were feeling? It's like a two different worlds, right? Because they would probably word it way differently, you know? And coming from them who's been through it is probably going to come out, you know, who knows, better, like different, you know? So it's a unique step to like, or a unique way of writing that I think is really cool. And I've only done it, I think, maybe once. Yeah. And it's like a song that's not even out, but I've tried doing it. It's tough.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
The whole time. Oh my god.
Some unreleased music. Maybe if we get
next time I'm here, I'll talk about it.
Dope. So I mean, the project's been out for a week now, right? A little over a week.
A little over a week.
So that's still getting like going, you know what I mean? Like it's still gonna like barely, I think it's just, I mean, obviously it is super at the beginning. I don't know, like I just think it's gonna do so fucking well, like with giving it like its moment. It's just good, you know what I mean? I like the pairing works really well enough. It's catchy, it gets to flex like this like creativity stuff, especially again like seeing how different it is, but it's good. I don't know. I think it has like a lot of elements of just like being like, you know, really great and having like a nice build. Like,
and it's got a little bit. It's got something for everyone too, because like Hips is like a pure in the club mix, and then Ribs is like a made up kind of made up like argument, slow tempoed. Because the song starts at one tempo and just slowly descends, and there's no like structure to it. It's just just the hook.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had just
your idea.
Yeah, I wrote it, and I didn't want to put it out. I didn't want it to be part of the project because it was like joke, but he ended up being like, no, you know what, this is actually really cool. And I was like, you know what, this is the first time he agrees with me. I was like, I'm not gonna ruin it. So I was like, all right, let's do it, you know. And in the back, that's why I was like, yo, let me do like a fake argument. And so I just like, he just recorded on the thing, and I was just like pretend like I was on the phone arguing with somebody. And by the end of it, I was like, dang, I just gaslit the other person the whole time that I was supposedly arguing with. But I think yeah, it's really cool because there is something for everybody. Because then some people like certain songs and some people like other songs, and I'm like, dang, that's why it's important to draw bodies of work.
Yeah,
because there's something
projects
for everybody.
Yeah,
and then you get to see, because I always wonder like, dang, what do my friends like, you know, or what do someone like, or what do they like? And I'm like, hey, I really like this song, and I'm just like, huh, you like that one? Like, really, you would like this one? And I'm like, all right, cool. So now I know like what certain people like in terms of things that I didn't think they would like.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
I will take it back to like the intro, which you had like a bunch of people like talk what like dancing to. Like going through those and here, I'm like, this is so fucking cool. Like perspective alone, just like in what it means to everybody. I mean, I remember like, so you called me like to do it.
Yeah.
And like after we talked, we were like, I didn't know like that was like that you had that experience with dance. And I'm like, oh yeah, like but stuff
Which
like
is
that.
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
That's cool.
That shows, I think, enough of like how everybody's like perspective is so different on the same topic. You know what I mean? Stuff like means different. People take it in a different way. That was such a cool, like, who came up with that idea?
That was him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude, and then like we struggled. The last thing to get done for the album was the intro, because we had all the calls and I had to like cut them up and put them together.
My God.
But I was like, what is the music? Like, because there's no way someone's going to listen to like 4.5 minutes of just calls, you know? So I was like, damn. So I like struggled by myself with it for a while, and then he finally came over and like, right, ironically enough, he was like who I needed to come and finish it. Yeah. Because I couldn't do it by myself. I was like, I don't have like the other half of my creativity is missing. I need that like the right brain to come in and like help me finish it, because I couldn't do it by myself. Right? Because too analytical. I'm like, well, no, the chords should be like this. No, the melody should probably be in the background. Like, I couldn't do it by myself. So he came
most of my ideas are just jokes at him to see, like, if he's gonna get mad at it. So I was like, hey, I'm like, put some cumbia on it. I'm like, you know, but that was a joke. That was a joke. It was like, because we had called his friend. That was a joke, and I'm like, I just see his reaction. He's like, I don't know, and I'm like, nah. And when he like, you know, shrugs it off, I'm like, no, we're doing that now. I'm like, put cumbia on it, and he's like, all right. And then he put it on there, and I was like, all right, cool.
Especially
like,
the part it plays too is like it's people. And they're speaking Spanish. Yeah. So he's like, do cumbia on their part. I was like, fucking asshole. He's like, all right, fine.
It's my family.
It's
my family.
So it's like, man. So it came, like, we finished it, and yeah, I needed him to, like, finish it. But that was, like, such a huge struggle, was trying to, like, complete the music. And yeah, but he had the idea to call 30, 40 people.
That was a lot. Yeah, I looked at it. I was like, this song's long. I was like, wait, how many calls are on here? Yeah, but the thing that I like is that it felt like an actual track. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was telling you. Is like, it didn't feel like just an intro to something. Like, you were actually listening to like a song. It just happened to have like this style of
that's cool.
vocals on it. So I felt like I took it as an actual like.
We were just talking about that because he was saying like, it's like I think the fifth most played song.
Yeah, it's up there. It's in the top 10. I think it's like 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Yeah. And he was like, that's weird. And I was just like, no, I'm like, maybe people are bumping it, I guess. I don't know. So you saying that it's a song.
It definitely still sounds like a song. Cool. Yeah.
I definitely listened, like, before the album dropped, like, I would play all the files around like Google Drive, and I'd listen to the first track, and I'm like, this dude bump like a little bit, like, because the drums come in at certain points, and like, the bass falls at this point, like, and it goes with like, it's sectioned up when people start talking to, like, the first section of people start talking to cumbia, and then like it stops, and then like someone else starts speaking, and the drums come back in. It feels like you said, like a track. It's really cool how it came out.
I remember I started to listen to it. Like Sierra and I were in Lubbock, and I was like, oh, let me start listening to it. And I was gonna take a shower, so I just put it, and I didn't have my speaker or anything, so I just had my phone. Like, well, I go, it's the intro part, and then I started listening to it, and I'm like, well, hold on, and I like stopped it, and I waited till I got like out of the shower, and I'm like, got my headphones, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna need to listen to it, which was a fucking great decision.
Yeah,
like,
that's amazing.
It was fucking I'm like, oh, I'm so fucking happy I did it.
And not to be a nerd, but like the voices do pan. They go back and forth.
Which is what I noticed. Yeah, once I put it, I'm like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, so cool. No, I think it's a fucking great project that y'all put together, and hope there's fucking gonna be more of this shit. I like this. I like this pair. I mean, I know y'all might need to take a break apart from each other.
I hate him.
That's what I'm saying. It might take a little bit before.
No, we're best friends outside of it. You know, we have a core group of like 4 or 5 dudes. And we all hang out and stuff. Coincidentally, they all do creative stuff too. DJ Roy being one of them. Yeah. So like we all hang out and do random stuff. So like we don't get tired of each other. But he's not always in the mood to make music sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, I just want to like play fucking board games or something.
Yeah.
You know? So
exactly.
It's really just finding like the project was so funny because like we really did get together. Yeah. And we're like, hey, like, you know, pull up Sunday. And I was like, all right, pull up Friday. All right, but I'll be there. And it was like straight music. It wasn't no hangout, no nothing. It was like straight music. Like
whoa.
Which we never did.
No.
Never
it's such I don't even know, because the sessions in the beginning were very like, call the guys over and we'll get drinks, and like I'll just like they'll play like Fortnite or watch like YouTube videos in my room like on the TV, and I'll just be in the corner with my headphones on like making the beat and like mapping out like the structure and stuff like that. By the time I'm done and I'm pressing play, like everyone's vibing. They're like, damn, what the heck, you know? And so those sessions were fun. And then it got to a point where it's like, we're not calling anyone over. And like as soon as we got there, like just open the laptop and just immediately start working. And it was like that. And that's like that's probably from like Hips and on is that. And the first like 4 or 5 songs are just like, all the guys are over and like the vibe just changes.
Gotcha.
So we locked in for it, and we'll have more soon. Like, but it's gonna be it's always gonna be different. Like, don't want anyone getting comfortable with like this sound. Maybe like 1 or 2 tracks, but like definitely don't want anyone getting comfortable. Like, just love it for what it is and where and when it is, which is now.
Moment in time.
Yeah, and things are gonna change for sure. Like we have a lot.
And
of
we're gonna do what originally we were doing, which is work on my solo stuff.
Yeah.
So we already have like 3 of them. So I'm working on this little EP that I can drop. You know, my shameless plug. We're working on my solo stuff right now. So hopefully that we can get that done and see what happens with it.
Hell yeah. No, I'm fucking stoked about it. And I hope that I keep working together and don't strangle each other. But I think that's cool. I mean, you touched on like having the friend group that's all like, you know, doing creative shit. It's important to have people around you that understand the mindset of like creating, because like sometimes I have like friends and then some people like don't understand that part, so it's kind of hard to like convey like the importance of like, oh, you don't understand how important like this song is, or this like thing that we're doing, or this is like, you know. And it's nice to have the people that you can talk to and like they understand, like when you're talking about like, oh yeah, I was working on this for fucking hours, like instead of getting the reaction of like, oh, like why, or like why are you spending time creating music, or the question that I always say is like, oh yeah, like how do you get paid like for something? I'm like, bitch, who cares? Like, like you understand it? Like I'm having fun. Like at the end of the day, like if I love what I'm doing, like it's a point in conversation that I've had with myself, like, and I talk about like this with like the podcast and with anything that I do. I'm like, at the end of the day, if all this brings me is me being fucking happy about creating something, I go, that's fucking it. That's all I need. I can go the rest of my life doing this if that's what it gives me. If I'm happy about this, like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, and if anything else fruits from it, that's all fucking bonus shit. Like that's extra. I go, but if I am just happy getting to have my own thing, creating stuff, meeting people all the fucking time, having these talks, I'm like, that's enough to feed my fucking soul and I'm good.
Yeah,
like
seriously.
that's it. Like that's all I want to do. And I think that's all the artists that I find and I love and I meet, and it's like those are the ones that I love the most. The people that have that drive, and I've seen them like get super successful and like, and you know, ranges like from people doing it. Yeah. But they, at the heart of it, it's like they love what they're doing, and I'm like, that's what's. I hope you're happy. Like if you have success, I hope you're happy. Like that's my always thing.
Yeah,
like,
and that's what I was just telling my girl like yesterday, because like I guess I have like the post body blues or whatever, like post album blues. Like I'm coming off the album and I'm like trying to get back to my stuff, and I feel like creatively like in a rut. And I was telling her like my most like depressing times, or like the times I beat myself up the hardest, is like when I can't make music. You know, like when I can't just have fun making something, because the feeling we're always chasing is like, if we can be laughing and make something really amazing at the same time, like we're definitely accomplished. Like that song doesn't even have to come out. Like just as long as we got that like just that feeling, you know, just that feel of just creating and having fun and enjoying it, and just being in that moment of like, wow, we really get to do this, then that's enough. That's purely enough. And that's what we strive for, really. Like I said, that song doesn't even have to come out. Like, we don't even have to drop it.
I be bumping my own release.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's all I do.
It's like a whole album.
That's all, like you said, like just make things that you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple. It's very simple, but so like it gets clouded up in like the world. Again, the world, once it gets associated with numbers, like, oh, is it, how many people are listening to it? How many copies did you sell?
Yeah.
This and that. Did it blow up on TikTok? This and that. I'm like, once you start letting that take over, then it becomes less fun, because now, instead of the judge of that song being like, I like this, now it's like, oh, all these other people don't like it. Or even if it doesn't get seen or heard, then you're all like, well, then your brain translates that to like, oh, well, no one likes it because no one's listening to it. When it's like, that's not the case. It's literally like people just haven't had a chance to find it yet. And you see that with like old songs like popping up like now, and just like getting a new generation listening to all these things. I'm like, people just need to find stuff, like, and it's hard. There's a lot of stuff out there like these days, but again, like, you have to worry about like what it's doing for you. Like if you're having fun creating it, then fuck, that's it. That's the minimum. That's all you need. Like
that's my theory, but to a fault, he gets onto me for not taking like the whole artistic approach, or non-artistic, but just like the whole media approach.
Oh, social media. Like, I always tell him, like, man, you gotta post a little more.
He's like, take pictures of yourself, post this or post that, and
post your face.
I do a lot of like digital art too, and he's like, post that stuff, and I'm like, who the fuck wants to see that? Like,
so I'm like, for what? My key to like social media, what like makes sense to me, and again, like, I've sometimes have success with it, sometimes don't, but I just try to figure out what I enjoy, like either consuming or what I like watching, or what's gonna be fun for me to put out. You know what I mean? Exactly. So like, I like luckily with Noise Right, I get to do a lot of like stuff with like artists. So like, if I find something where I'm like, oh, like I really like this, then I'm gonna share, because that's my focus like going forward. So we have like a few shows left, but like my focus is like, oh, I want to create like our actual like social media platform. And I want to be able to post stuff and content create, because that's what I enjoy doing. But I'm like not gonna force it to where it seems fake and generic. Like, oh, exactly. Like, oh no, like there's tons of like music that I like. There's tons of like stuff, shows that we go to. Like, so there's stuff that I enjoy creating and viewing. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cater it towards that. So like, once you go into like, these are your cookie cutters, like, oh, this is the trend now, like do that. You can't don't let it consume you. Like, they're fun to do, but like, you got to figure out what's fun for you to do, because that way you'll do it.
Like, and even with that too, it's just like, well, how many other people are doing that and posting that same kind of like TikTok? You know what I mean? And it becomes saturated so fast. So it's, to me, I think it's not easier, but I think it's better to just find your own voice, like you said, what you like to do, right? And I think that comes naturally. Especially in social media, because social media is so demanding. Like, I've been trying to be more active, and it's demanding. Like, I feel like the few days that I haven't posted, I'm like, fuck, like I'm failing.
Already, it's finished. It definitely feels that way. So like, again, like finding something that's comfortable will make it easier for you to be able to post. Like,
exactly.
More often, and figuring out your flow of stuff and what you actually like doing. You know what I mean?
I'm just disconnected. I don't know. I feel like an old man. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I like watching movies at home and playing video games. So like, I'm not like always on my phone on IG and stuff. So I don't think to like, take like a little pictures and thing, like, I just don't think like that. And I don't like being on camera either. Like, funny enough.
Oh, these aren't on.
No,
these are recorded.
These aren't on.
That's fine, I guess. But like, like they know. I grew up very like, I don't know. I grew up. My mom just kind of like, I don't know. I kind of grew up kind of Amish. I don't know, like So
nah, I grew up like fucking.
He grew up with overalls and hay out of his mouth.
Yeah, they're trying to find my iPod Nano in my cornhole. No, so yeah, I think I'm just getting used to like the media now.
Yeah,
like
again, it's creating what's gonna be comfortable for you. So again, to touch back to like, it needs to feel real. So it can't feel like you're forcing yourself to become like something.
Because I don't know. I'm so annoying, but I think that's what it is. Like I just feel like I'm like, I don't want to take a picture right now, like things like that.
But yeah, like stuff like you were saying, like digital art that you create. If you like that, then you can post that or pictures like that. I mean, the album, stuff like that, just to you figure out how you want to tackle it. But again, it's all unique. It's all what works best for you.
And it's a big game too.
Yeah,
just a big use these hashtags and post at this time.
I fucking don't understand it, and I probably should learn, but from a business standpoint. But I'm like,
Same here. I mean, I'm like, man, like by next year I want to reach like a new audience, but it's like in order to do that, you got to put in work on social media, and it's a lot of work. It's like.
Yeah, I was talking to DJ who's like, what do you want to do? And like, Noise, like, what's your thing? I go, my thing is like, I would love to just content create and make stuff. Like, so like that's why I do the podcast. That's why I do lunch. Like, I would love to do that. I do not like worrying about the number part of it. Like, you say, oh, what hashtags use and that? I go, so you can, bro, I can work my ass off and make a shit ton of like stuff for you to post. Yeah. But worrying about like what time to post it and this and that, I'm like, bro, that's too much for me. Like it's the whole like it's the same thing I had when I was like in a band. It was the same thing. I was like, I want to worry about writing music and I don't give a fuck about everything else. Like it's just want to write it and play it. Like that's it. And
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
And you find out it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Because good Lord, man, like even just getting shows, it's like. It's not as and then we had this. Okay, so to preface this, right? Because I'm super grateful to Noise Rot. Like y'all have helped me get on stage and be able to showcase my art. But prior to meeting y'all, we went to a lot of venues. What was this? 2021 or 2022?
2022. 22. Right? Yeah, it was last year.
And so we went to a bunch of different venues, and like we went to Tulips, and I think it was like production manager. I don't remember the title, but something was just like. We're like, how do we get shows? Like, who do we? He's like, here's a card with an email, and then he's like, well, I mean, if you have 1 million followers on TikTok, I mean, you can pretty much book anyone. I'm like, I have good songs. How about that? And I know a good amount of people. Like, like, is that not enough? And so you find out pretty quick that there's a lot more to it than just write and play. Like, there's so much more.
Which is one of the things with like when we did Noise Rot, it's like coming from the scene, like all of us have either played in bands or just been going to shows for fucking ever. Yeah. And it's just like we know just like how much talent is around here, and like people that don't have like a huge following or this and that or whatever access to all these things, like no, they're good. Like if you see them, I go, you're gonna like them. So that was like our core, like literally the core thing we always say is just like we want to do cool shit with cool people. Is like, and we know so many people doing like cool things. So again, that's one of the reasons why the shows that we put on, we try to put on like some artists. Like sometimes we like take risks, like, oh, this artist might not bring some people, but like they deserve the attention or the recognition, the attention. People need to see them perform.
Absolutely,
cool. That's cool. Stuff like why the podcast even kept going. It was supposed to be a temporary thing that I did, just to promote a festival. And I'm like, you know what? This is a cool way to show people like artists and all these people like coming around town that is something that I have access to create, and I can make that like for other people. And again, really it's one thing I like doing, and it if I can help draw more attention to this, and cool. It's awesome.
Who'd y'all just have on? Was it somebody else?
We had somebody else on. Those kids are fucking.
Oh, that's their name? Somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, not y'all, somebody.
That's somebody else. That's cool.
No, those kids, like, I think they just turned 18. Like, literally.
Really?
Yeah, they're so young, but like hearing them like speak, and their music is so fucking good. But yeah, stuff like that, or just people doing like cool shit. I'm like, yes, really people need to know.
Yeah, y'all are really like diving deep in like the scene and who's around and stuff, and like putting on really cool people. Even the last Noise night, like we went to it, and such a cool lineup.
Oh,
such a cool lineup.
The Yasmin.
Yasmin's fucking.
Yo, she's
great.
sick.
She's so
she's
fucking
sick
great.
as hell.
Man, it's fucking great.
God.
Yeah, no, she's. I had her on the podcast talking to her. I was like, dude. And she's like, she's also like super fucking smart. She's like a fucking engineer and some shit. I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm like, okay,
that's crazy.
She's like, okay, you're really fucking cool. And then like even me like discovering people, because like I'd never heard of Iggy Meji, which they played second, and they're fucking great. And I'm just like, so like I love that I at the same time of like putting on these shows, I still get to like find like new artists and stuff like that. The kid from South State, he was at the Noise night. He's fucking great, and his band was fucking awesome.
Sick, dude.
Yeah,
I had seen their page. I just dive in social media and like see who's around, and I saw South State, and I was like, emo and R&B, like what is that, right? And I was like, okay, they got some cool shit out, And then seeing them live, I'm like, dude, these guys are sick.
Yeah,
like,
they're
what the
really
hell?
good.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I mean. Like those little moments, I go, are what make Noise Rock worth it to me.
Yeah.
It's like literally if someone comes to a show and sees an artist and like that they would have never gone to see like otherwise, like because and that's what I want. Like I guess it's literally just a love letter to the scene that like brought me up. It's just like, hey, like I found a lot of like cool music and this really cool community right around me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to share it with as many people as I can.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like this, you can support a lot of people doing some cool stuff. And again, maybe find one of your favorite artists starting out, like, you know, here. And like you can get on like the ground level or something.
A lot of these artists, dude, have such like like an image and personality that's like, dude, they could be superstars. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's really cool to see because you know that everyone's just starting out and it's like where they could be in like 3 years, 4 years. You know, I mean, they could be, you know, charting Billboard and like doing Fallon. It's like you have no idea. Like, there's just so much talent here. It's insane.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so grateful for Noise Rock that you guys
are
awesome. Dude, the way y'all
Thank
reach
you.
out and just I don't know, put on amazing shows and just I don't know, you're putting on the scene, which is really cool.
Trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. We
No,
just,
you guys
we
are-
love it. So we try to do our best again, just because that's what we know what we experienced when we were like playing in bands and like going stuff, and we want to make it as smooth as we can possible,
and it
easy
should be-
experience, and
Yeah, it should be inclusive too. Like I feel like Fort Worth wants to grow, it's got to work together, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to do their own thing and it's like, no, like we have to work together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, community was the biggest word that I got out of when we started doing this, and just being, I'm like, dude, I love that aspect of it, of
Yeah.
getting to be around people who are again creating stuff like and I don't just mean music, I just mean like there's like these businesses sometimes that I've like encountered, I'm like, oh, you're making this here. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I have this hot sauce company coming back. Actually, they were already on the podcast, but they're called Freaky Ferments, and they're out of Fort Worth, and it like blew my mind. I'm like, oh, you make this shit like here, and it's like, oh yeah, like we rep
that's
Fort Worth,
sick.
and it's I'm
Yeah.
like, that's cool, like, and it just opens up your mind a little bit more. Like, oh, there's stuff like right around you that's like quality shit that people are creating.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
Martin Brewhouse too.
Martin,
Yeah,
Martin House, yeah. There's so many cool things around here, and it's just really awesome. But I thank you guys for stopping by. I
Dude,
really
of
really
course.
appreciate it. Y'all need to listen to Body.
Yep.
It's out now. Stream it everywhere. We don't care about numbers, but pump those numbers up.
Yeah.
I mean, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, it's good music. Just put it on. It's easy listening too. Like, you don't need to pay too much attention. You can have it on in the background.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Definitely.
Have fun. Enjoy
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, thank you for stopping again. We got episode 84 with Bornouttalove and Sinking. So I think that might be the wrong number. I don't know. Sorry, I apologize.
86, 79.
86, it's in the 80s, okay? Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
Thanks, y'all.
Time it says better lose your man. We should run away, love me instead.
Purchase sounds and breakdowns.
Love me instead. Time it says better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.